As a fitness professional, you know the joy of helping others, and you know it's more than just fitness. We're training the whole person. Wellness coaching provides expertise that goes beyond fitness and nutrition. It's a holistic approach to helping others become their best selves while reaching their goals. To us, there's no greater joy than that. Join the fitness leader. Become a fitness leader. Become a certified wellness coach. Go to nasm.org/wellness.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Strong Mind, Strong Body. So, do you have a coaching business, but you've maybe always dreamed about scaling it and you're not sure how? That's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about starting and scaling your coaching business. So, I'm Angie Miller. This is Strong Mind, Strong Body. And my guest today is CJ Lee. He is the co-founder of Move Private Fitness in Malaysia. And so I met CJ when we were in Singapore, and he's a wealth of knowledge because he truly is the epitome of a fitness entrepreneur. So he's going to talk about how do we start, how do we grow, how do we scale our coaching venture, and including things like marketing strategies, but also how do you get a positive team culture, because that's huge. And then how to get a systematic approach so that you can be successful. So maybe you're a budding coach who's just starting out, or maybe you are just nailing it in the coaching space. And now you want to know, how do I take my coaching business to new heights? So I think you're going to find that CJ is so action oriented. He's going to give you so much information. So CJ, I'm going to have you come in and introduce yourself.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much, Angie, and of course, Nazem. So I'm the co-founder of Move Private Fitness, and we started out in a very small town in Malaysia called Malacca. But of course, along the way, rallying great people with the same mission, we get on the journey of growing and scaling our PT business into Kuala Lumpur, and this year we have another 5 more to go, 5 more studios to go. And next year will be our international expansion plan, where we're looking into Thailand, Indonesia, eventually China, and of course, perhaps one day in the US.
Wow, you have a big long-term plan. I didn't even know about this. You just dropped a bomb on me, CJ. I didn't know. Very cool. All right. So let's talk about starting and scaling this coaching business. We're going to assume that they've started their coaching business, but to think about scaling a business to me is just overwhelming for a lot of people. So I know you generally start by talking about a product. So let's go there. Tell us about the product.
All right. The product that you have, okay, it can be a coaching business. It can be a personal training studio coaching business, right? It can be you as a solopreneur. It can be you as a gym owner. So at the end of the day, all right, a great product is super, super, super important. A great product with social marketing, all right, will do very well because you have a lot of referral. Now, that's one belief, one way to look at it. All right. You see, Apple, they had a really, really great product, right? Really great, groundbreaking, innovative iPhone back in the days. It was something new, something different to the market. And marketing it was just easy, right? People talk about it, right? People have a lot of word of mouth. Now, you can also look at product as, look, I'm just going to have a product that is just good enough, but I'm going to be very, very, very good at marketing. And that can also work out pretty well as well, right? So let's say, for example, if you think of burgers, you don't think McDonald's are having great burgers, but their marketing is just very, very, very good, right? So there are 2 ways to look at product. Okay, one is you have a super amazing product that people talk about it without you marketing it so much. Another way is you having a good enough product where there's no complaint, there's no, big raving review needed, but then you have really, really, really amazing marketing. Now, when it comes to marketing, of course, this is something we can dive into deeper as well.
So it's funny that you say that about the product, because my mind goes to all kinds of different brands, and I'm not throwing any brand under the bus on this podcast, but automatically my mind went to, yep, great marketing, horrible product, or it went to, oh my gosh, amazing product, not so good marketing. And I'm like, yep, absolutely. Because we've all been around long enough to see not so great products that have such good marketing that we buy in and we're like, why did I buy this? And then we know companies where it's just referral based and we get in and we find this like diamond in the rough company or person and we think, wow, what a blessing. But that was just word of mouth. They don't even bother with marketing. So I think that's such a key point to start with. I'm glad you started there. Let's talk about marketing then, because that's a big one.
All right. So this is a concept where I believe a lot of people have never really heard of. Okay. So marketing, we will split into two parts. Okay. This is where I won't tell you the definition of marketing because it's very debatable, but marketing is split into two parts. One is farming, one is hunting. Okay, put it this way. Farming, what I mean by that is branding, the stuff that you do that you might not see the return right away within the next few weeks or next few months even, or perhaps the next 1 or 2 years. But then you know it's needed, okay, right? To basically build a brand, to have this brand affinity towards you, even with the people that haven't bought from you, right? Then the hunting is where you are just there to make the kill, make the sales, all right? You're there to close clients, making sure the cash is coming in. So it's equally important to have both hunting and farming and hunting, all right? But then the level of focus, the amount of resources that you channel into both will be dynamic. Okay, so in the real beginning of a business, if you're starting out, it's a lot more important to do the hunting. Okay, because you need the cash, you need sales to make things run, right? The farming part, maybe you put about 10-20% of your time and resources into it. All right, let's say you have $1,000 budget every single month. You put 800 into getting new sales, getting more sales, and then another 200 or 100 into building your brand, creating beautifully designed stuff, right? It's equally important. As you grow, you might end up having more budgets. Then you might start to put more into the farming part. All right.
Yeah.
So that's basically how I would say, a lot of people get it all mixed up. They want to do branding first and then do the sales later, or like they do all sales, no branding, which looks really horrible. So this is the kind of ratio you got to have. And slowly, you might have 50-50. Not saying that you're cutting budgets from the hunting part. You are just going to have more budgets, but just that the ratio changes. In fact, the money that you're going to be spending on hunting might be more, even though the percentage of the ratio is less. You get what I mean?
Yeah. Farming and hunting. Yeah, I'm hanging on to those concepts. So that's very well said. And it was very well explained. Props to you for being able to get this information out there in a palatable way where brains are like, okay, I got that. Yeah, that makes sense to me. So the farming and hunting on the marketing and the key differentiator. So that's good. I like that. Is there anything else about marketing that you would say? Because marketing could be, marketing is a full degree. So we're just talking about the basics of marketing when in terms of scaling. So
Yeah. So basically, it all comes down to knowing these 4 essential pillars, right? The first one is about traffic. How do you get more traffic? How do you get, more eyeballs? All right. So that's maybe online, your offline store. But these days, you don't really have to be hung up on like, I need to be in a really super good location, okay? Because eyeballs are all on the phone, on the internet, on the computer. So traffic. Now, when it comes to traffic, there's so much you can play with. There's so much work you can do, right? So as in, how do you create videos that make people want to share, that goes viral, right? That's what most people hope for. And how do you create ads, right, on Meta, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, that is actually going to look and sound different from your competitor? Now, let me give you this little naughty insight that I have recently, discovered. All right. So now it's January. Okay. In December, I started to see a lot of studios and gyms popping up on ads on Instagram, Facebook, ads everywhere. And then, of course, everyone is fighting for traffic, right? Traffic to their page, to their offer, to their landing page, okay, to their Instagram profile. And then what happened is, it's always important to see and feel what the market is commonly putting out there and saying, and then think of ways to pattern interrupt the viewers, the people that are browsing online, seeing ads after ads of gyms after gyms, selling membership, new year, new me, all the same thing. How do you go against the grain? So basically, for us, what I did was I created an ad and said, I signed up for a 1-year membership and only managed to use 5 times. Sad face. And even the part where it's meant to be headline on the Facebook ads, Instagram ads, it was just a sad face, wasted gym membership. And that resulted in a lot of eyeballs. And of course, a lot of leads come from there as well.
No
Yeah,
way.
so-
That's classic, because that's such a, I mean, hello, is that the truth? Buy a gym membership, especially because where do they get you? They get you on the auto renewal, right? Like, I mean, I've been on auto renewal with Spotify for probably 15 years. And I don't even think about like how often I actually use Spotify, which I do use it a lot. But what a great ad. So that's a disruptive ad. That's an ad that's like, oh yeah, I've been there, and people are probably automatically drawn to it.
Yeah, exactly, right? So, it's really about coming up with tagline or headline or copywriting or images that stop people on their track, right? You can even say, tell a story, right? You can even have a headline that says, um, she did this she did this without her husband knowing. And then it makes people want to read more, right? And then how you can do your copywriting is basically perhaps saying, as moms, right? A lot of time moms, wives struggle in silence. And many of them actually have taken the time out to look after their well-being, and all that stuff. Now, we are here standing with the mom who care about their well-being, because, we believe that, healthy moms can actually build healthy and happy family. And this is our coaching program, blah, blah, blah. This is how we guide you, the feature. So, so this is going to be a hook for people to read, right? Like, oh, wow, as if there was some element of, cheating, right? She did this without her husband knowing.
So I think what you're saying is the disruptive ad, the ad that is like so almost outrageous that people can't help but look at it. And then when they peel the envelope open, it's actually a very innocent, very strong message of, hey, we're here to help women, men, blah, blah, blah. I like that a lot. So, oh boy, you're full of all those. So CJ, marketing, that's a great idea. Like disruptive ads, drawing attention. Is there anything else you want to say about marketing? Because I'm personally wanting to get into the team culture and how you create a team culture that is where everyone gets along and everyone sees the best in everyone, and it's strengths based, right? Where you're not threatened by one another, you're supportive, and you're lifting one another up.
All right. So when it comes to building teams, of course, we have failed many times, and there are many sleepless nights. Yeah. And so at the end of the day, we believe that a really strong pre-frame when it comes to recruiting is really needed. Okay. Meaning a lot of time, a lot of companies will sell the perks, the dreams of like working with us, everything's going to be great, easy, and all that stuff. Right. So for us, it's really about just pulling out the ugly truth and say, look, you're going to struggle and you're not going to like it. And we will challenge you, and you might crack under pressure. People have cried before. Is that something you still want to be part of? Right. And basically, when people say, yes, I'm still willing to get in, to go through all of these, there's somewhat a sense of openness, and people are willing to just get on the journey because they are focused on the mission rather than personal ego being bruised and hurt, or rather than like, I'm so good that, I don't need anyone to challenge me. So that's when it comes to recruitment, that's really, really important. Now, at the same time, I would say, selling the vision is really important, but of course, backing it with action. Okay. Now, selling vision is so crucial because this day and age, 2024 today, right? People want a sense of purpose, right? People no longer just come for the money, unless you are a manufacturing factory company where you just hire, factory workers, right? They're just coming for the money to pay the bill. But if you're in coaching business, if you're in fitness business, people are not just coming for the money, right? They are coming for perhaps a sense of fulfillment from just being with clients, being with your team, doing the things that they love. All right. So it's also very important to tell them that the mission that you're on is so big that they feel like they need a lot of they need a lot of people around them to go and achieve together. Let's say, for example, if I say to you, hey, let's go climb up the hill down the neighborhood, and you're like, okay, I can do that alone anytime I want. But then what if I say, hey, let's go climb Mount Everest? Okay, who's coming with us? What do we need to do, right? Who are the teammates? I want to make sure they are equivalent, competent enough to get up there. What's the training like? There will be a lot more focus. And in a way, I can't imagine building a strong team that is mission driven, that is focused, without having a meaningful or strong, big vision. Because when your dream is too small, when your vision is too small, it gets people thinking, why must I be part of your team? Why must I work so hard? Why must I stay up at night for something that is just so easily achieved, right? So I can't imagine just building a business that is just so small and not worth people, pouring their hearts and also wanting to work together strongly with the team members.
Yeah, I like that. But I find it kind of almost funny that you were like, I tell them some people have cried and folded under pressure. But to be honest, I mean, I think you do have to tell people, hey, this is not easy work. We're looking for people who are open to a challenge. We're looking for people who are hardworking, who are not afraid to feel like certain times they might fold under the pressure, but that's okay because that's where they grow. So I think that's a great idea. You had mentioned to me a keeper test, and I'm kind of curious about this. What's a keeper test?
All right. A keeper test is basically what Netflix, they would do something where they would ask their managers and say, hey, if today this person under your lead was to leave, how hard would you fight to keep that person? And think about the team members that you have, okay? Either you own a company or if you don't. Who right now on your team would you fight for to make them stay? And who would you not fight for? That you rather be like, the door is there, see you later. So you know very well which person is good for the team, and you know very well which person is not. So yes, it's something where every now and then you got to do this, just internally. You don't have to say it out like, hey, I won't fight to keep you, and I will fight to keep you. You don't have to. Or maybe amongst the HQ, the headquarter, the management team, you can just look into, the people that you have currently under your lead, which are the people where you are happy to just, wish them the best if they were to say, hey, I'm leaving, or another company is trying to, pull them. Yeah, so that's a keeper test.
So curious about something though. If you ask yourself that and you have people on your team and you're like, I could absolutely not keep them, then what? Are you saying that you do show them the door, or maybe you give them a performance plan to help them get better? Is that just a way for you as an owner to check in and say, yeah, this isn't working?
Right. So some people are very high in performance, very low in character. Okay. All right. So this is where you almost can say, okay, work out an exit plan. Right. They are the so-called the C player, where performance high, character is not quite there, because you know that a bad apple can basically ruin the whole basket. And we had this many times in the past where just that one person was so toxic that it affected the whole team morale. It basically dismantled the unity of the team. And yeah, they brought in sales, but then the thing is, Is sales more important than the longevity of your team culture? No, definitely. We were willing to take a dip, and we have pre-framed also the investors that invested in our business that, hey, there are times where we need to make calls to have people being let go, and there will be a dip in revenue for a few months or 6 months or maybe up to 8-9 months. You have to be okay with it. So yes, this is the kind of thing that has happened to us. People who are high performance, low in character, let them go. Now, if they are high in character, low in performance, and it's been dragging on, right? So it's been dragging on, not just talking about the first month. It's been dragging on. Then sometimes you have to be the first to offer them the alternative and say, hey, look, how are things going? Do you think maybe there's somewhere else that you feel like you're more compelled towards? You mentioned that you wanted to, get into that company or doing this and that. Have you thought of maybe now is the time for you to go and do that? And sometimes if you open up to them, if you are the first to open up this conversation, they will actually be like, yep, good idea. And the funny thing is, like, all this while, they would never have the guts to come and tell you. So you being the first to just offer them the door, another path, it's actually something very relieving for the both side. And it's actually something very, very, very cool for you to do as a business owner, where you don't just want to keep people for the sake of keeping people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
you
like
have.
that. I look at it as an invitation. You're inviting them to take an alternative route and you're opening the door for them to do it without feeling like they're letting you down. Because I do think that sometimes people hold on in organizations because they're afraid of letting you down, but they're uncomfortable and they don't want to be a quitter. But if you give them that invitation, I feel like, yeah, most people intuitively know, hey, I've got the passion, but for some reason it's not turning into performance. But CJ, I just want to pause for a second and reintroduce you. So my name is Angie Miller, and this is Strong Mind, Strong Body. And my guest today is CJ Lee. He is the co-founder of Move Fitness in Malaysia, and he is a true fitness entrepreneur. And we're talking about how to start and scale your coaching business so that once you've got this business going, how do you scale it and just keep it growing? So CJ, you've talked about the product, you've talked about the market, you've talked about cultivating a team and the keeper test. Is there anything else you want to say about a team before we kind of talk about a system?
All right. Yes. So during startup phase of a business, you need people who have the entrepreneurial spirit, like people who are just daring to go and get things done. All right. Now, as the business grows, these people with entrepreneurial spirit needs to slowly step back and let the people who are more operational, spirited or management driven to go and help to run the business. Now, the often downfall is the entrepreneurs, right, or the entrepreneurial spirit people still want to be involved, even though the business is slowly stabilizing. They want to be involved. They are jumping in to make changes last minute, because that's just how it is, with these people like myself, right? We want to go in there, make new plans, change here, change there. And it will really stuff up the team, right? The team that is in the administration and operational management, they will be annoyed. They will be very frustrated with your constant jumping in. So we have to learn to step back, and we have to be okay if things don't go the way we want it to be. And then we just go back to review in a few weeks or in the next meeting. Don't just jump in right away. So that was my biggest learning. Do not jump in when things are getting into a stable stage. Only jump in, of course, when there's some firefighting is needed and no one else is able to do it. Now, so in a startup growth phase, okay, entrepreneurial spirit person like me, involvement will be lessen and lessen, and then it will hit a business life cycle where the business will start to plateau. Okay, now the next thing after plateau is usually the decline, right? Just like a lot of businesses that we know is currently on a decline because they don't have someone in the company that has this entrepreneurial spirit to come in and jump start another growth curve, right? So for me right now, the biggest learning is I just have to remove myself from a lot of things. If not, then my team will be frustrated. They will be like, okay, you know what? How about you do it yourself?
Because if you put your hands in too many times, it just gets annoying because maybe they don't feel like they have any authority or any say, any skin in the game. And people want to feel like they have skin in the game. They want to feel like their voice matters. But if your voice is drowning out all the other noise or all the other voices, then they probably are just like, fine, you want to run it yourself. People want autonomy and they want to be a part of something. That makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, and it's actually, like for me, we have to start appreciating the stability more, and we have to start appreciating the routine more, because this is what help to sustain and slowly grow the business. If we constantly come in to disrupt the business and having new plans, new vision, new direction, it's going to be a lot of turbulence, and it's not always a good thing. So if you are someone like me who is very entrepreneurial, you like to do things on the go, you're dopamine driven, know your place. Which stage of your business are you right now, and whether or not you should be so involved, or whether or not you should just get yourself out and then work on other innovation, or do a R&D, research and development, and build a new offer. And that's when you can bring in a few people who are quite like you to kickstart a new thing on top of the current thing that you already have going.
Yeah, because I think what you're really saying is know when to put on the brakes or know when to slow down, know when to pause and give other people a chance to pull up next to you in the car and be like, okay, I've got this now. I want to drive the car. So that makes sense to me. I know that you talk, CJ, when you talk about scaling a business and coaching business, you talk about systems and having systems in place. And you know, that's such a key element, just systems, whether it's, automated systems or whatever it is. I mean, we see it more and more now where people are using AI and there's so much automation that everybody is so used to an immediate response that if you're not that business who gets back to somebody immediately, you lose customers. And it's kind of crazy because to me, it's almost maddening how much we really need to be systems oriented to make sure that our customer always feels like we're right there, whether it's 3 in the morning or 3 in the afternoon. So tell me your thoughts on systems.
System is always something where you're always working on, and it's never a time where you just say that system is good enough for the next few months. All right. So system, it can be broken down into so many things: recruitment system, marketing system, branding system, direct response marketing system, or growth system within a company, maybe educational system and all that stuff. So with system, is really important that there's an element of it where you co-create with your team, so that there's a sense of ownership. And you have to see system as both, it can be a fixed and fluid thing. You have to make sure that it's the both fixed and fluid element is in it. What I mean by that is, fixed means it's already fixed, nothing can be changed. These are the core essential elements that needed to happen in this operating SOP, right? Fluid means you still allow room for people to do it slightly differently, or you still allow room for it to be challenged, so that people who have the experience, or who have seen things that you haven't seen, or the person who built the system didn't see, they are able to help improve it together. And this is when you don't feel like, oh my God, I'm in a corporate, or, typically they say I'm in an IBM. It's just so like system and robots. So it's really, really important to let your team know that, yes, we can have fixed system, and sometimes you might not like it, but this is just how it is. But at the same time, if you have better idea, come and chip in, all right? Because at the end of the day, you don't want to run a dictatorship company. You want the team to have a sense of ownership over the system, and more likely they will want to stick to it because they help to build it and improve it together. And sometimes when it comes to building a new system, it's always important to be the first to help push it, to help kickstart. Okay, because a lot of time business owners, when they hire people, they say, okay, you know what, you build a system for us. I think you know the context better. You have more experience seeing things work and not work. So you should be the one building it first, the rough framework, and then later on passing over to someone to improve it.
Yeah. And I do think that's important. I like that, the employees, the people, members of the team also get to have some skin in the game again on the systems approach too. And I agree. It's such a fluid thing. It's not like you come up with one system and then it stays that way for 10 years. It's always going to be fluid and you're always going to be nuancing it probably according to growth and who's part of your team and who your target market is and so forth. So is there anything else you would add about systems, CJ?
Yeah, so system is a dead object, right? Then you have people that operates it. I think it's really important to know that there are people who are very hung up on system and they freak out when it's out of alignments. They freak out when it's like, oh my God, it's not part of the system. Why did you do that? Yeah, so when it comes to managing and working with a teammate, it's always important to know which are the people who are more certainty driven. If they were to do the ISC test, the personality test, they are more the S and C people, right? Who are these people? And don't be freaked out by them freaking out, okay? Right? If you are more of a D dominance and influence person where you're just about, feeling good, like going out there, pushing for things, sometimes you might, drop a few things. Yeah, so at the end of the day, one system, different people operating it, but it's really important to know who is who so that you guys can still appreciate each other being the way each other is. I know it's very hard for me to do that. Sometimes I'm like, why would you freak out? Like, oh my God, it's such a small matter. But then I'm like, okay, you know what? They are not like me. I'm not like them. It's good that they freak out. I have to remind myself, if not, they don't care about it. Otherwise, if they don't freak out, right? Yeah. So,
I'm
yeah.
glad you
So,
brought that up though, because I think that's such a powerful point to every single component of life. I mean, we are just as a unit. I mean, how do you run a business if you cannot appreciate that everybody's going to have a different perspective? And so while they're freaking out might freak you out, if you could freak out less in front of them and not make it a bigger deal, it's going to go more smoothly because everyone has a different value system. So what they think is really important, some people are just very they want things to be a certain way, and if it's not, they are going to freak out. But to recognize that and be like, that's okay, because to your point, that's just their passion speaking. So if they weren't passionate, they wouldn't be freaking out. Might drive you crazy, but I've not met very many people who are not passionate who are going to freak out. They don't care enough to
yeah,
freak out, right?
yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah.
that's
Is
right.
there anything else you would say to that then? Or do you feel like that's a pretty good like preview of what a system means when you're scaling your coaching business?
Yeah, so basically, you have so whenever you want to scale, all right, it's always important to know that what you have built is only good to bring you to where you are today, and it might not take you to where you want to go. So sometimes you just gotta really start from zero again, building another system to help take where you are to where you want to go. Yeah, so building a system for a studio, one studio location is not gonna be good for two studio location system is not gonna be good for five, right? It's not gonna be good for 10. So it's an ongoing improvement of system. Now, it's very important for fitness professionals, coaches, to really focus on system and really making sure that it's something where it can run without you being there. It can actually still grow your business without you being there, right? A lot of people say if you can be away for 3 weeks and nothing happens in your business, nobody dies, the house doesn't burn down, then you are doing great. But I'll say if you can be away for a few months and the business still grows, that's even better. Not just sustaining, but growing without you being there. That's even better, right? So I would say at the end of the day, system is something that will help you amplify your impact. If you are a coach and you know that in a day you can perhaps coach up to 6, 7 clients, 8 clients maximum, right? Before the quality start to drop. But look, if you have a strong system where you can recruit coaches from no experience to superstar trainers, serving clients at the highest level, and you can repeat that 10 times, 20 times, 50 times, the amount of impact you can create for people are just endless. So stop thinking about you being the best coach. You want to do all the coaching because no one else can do it as good as you are. But start thinking, you know what? It's time to really scale the impact, because if not you, then who? Because you are the business owner. No one is going to build a system for you in the beginning, all right? Or no one is going to build a system with you, because if you don't do that, they will feel like, why am I building it? When you're not even pushing it.
Well, and there's only one you. So eventually you are going to get tired or burn out. So you've got to cultivate good people. So CJ, before we close up, I really appreciate you talking about scaling a coaching business. I think this is a really key topic. If people want to reach out to you, how would they reach out to you?
Okay, so it's Instagram, Rise, RISE .with.CJ. Or LinkedIn, you can just search CJ Lee Move Private Fitness. So basically, let's connect and we can definitely talk more. Now, with the system thing, maybe I can add in something real quick.
Okay.
All right. So this is a very unconventional approach that we took as a company, and that allow us to grow really fast. Very unconventional. Now, you see, it was from my business partner who read a book and then, found out a better way of doing things. So basically, you see, he said in the book, it said that back in the days when U.S. Army was, trying to fight the Taliban, right? U.S. Army had great system structure and everything. All right, they can battle basically any continent. So when they were fighting the Talibans, they were struggling because Talibans were just very fluid. They would pop up everywhere, and boom, the moment you're there, they're not there. The moment you think you've gotten the main guy, but then it's actually the cousin. The main guy is elsewhere now. So then they were struggling, and they were looking at Taliban's formation, right? It was just like spider web kind of formation rather than a hierarchy kind of triangle pyramid formation. So what got us thinking is, we want to build a great fitness business and fitness company where we don't want it to be like very corporate, like IBM. But how can we prevent that from happening? Because if we're scaling, that's bound to happen. Then we start to think of, the system where we have this term called a special ops, where team members that basically we can pull together team members of certain skill set and experience and start something together, start a project, start a filming production thing to help with our marketing, right? It can be a special ops for an outreach strategy where, we all work together. We don't have to have multiple layers of approval before we can start doing anything, right? So there's no politics, there's no like, hey, why didn't you tell me about this? You have to get my approval, because this is it can slow down the whole operation, it can slow down the whole growth. And as we know, as company grows big, its nimbleness becomes less, and that's very, very dangerous in this day and age. If you're not nimble enough, you will be disrupted very quickly. So rather, if we can have the best of both worlds, the corporate structure plus the spider web looking, formation, if we can have the best of both worlds, I think we can future-proof ourselves, and everyone is happy because, the people who are not up there is allowed to play freely within the box, and that they truly enjoys it. They're allowed to, basically express themselves, have more creativity, have more fulfillment, and less micromanaging and more autonomy. So this is very, very amazing. This is the system that we are currently on right now.
I like that. I like always the word autonomy and always giving people skin in the game. I think that is a huge, huge key factor to success. And to your point, being nimble, just being flexible in the way that we move through our businesses and through life. So CJ Lee, thank you so much for coming on again. Thank you to all of our Strong Mind, Strong Body listeners. I can't wait for you to scale your coaching business, and I'll see you next week.